Ah, yes, the smell of fresh lumber and a long list of delays. Welcome to New Residential Plumbing. Let's talk pros and cons. Number one, clean work environment. No dirty toilets or old pipe systems. You're working with new materials in a clean space, hopefully in a new built building. Number two, predictable scheduling. Jobs often allow a project timeline, making your work more consistent and less reactive. And that's wonderful. At least then you know when you should be done. Number three, good for new plumbers, great training ground to learn layouts, rough ends, and how homes are built from the ground up. I recommend new builds when you first start out. Get in new construction, you learn what goes in the walls, what goes under the floor, and it makes it better for later when you want to do service. Number four, fewer emergency calls. Unlike service work, you're not on call for late night leaks or clogs. But if you're trying to hit a schedule, you may have to work late during the day, you may have to work evenings, you may have to do things to stay on schedule. Number five, standardized installs. Most installs follow a code and template. There's less troubleshooting compared to service work. Now, I love service work, but I love the new build too. There's still codes for service work. You've still got to do things right, but learning how to build it and install it by code is a great way to get started in the trades. Number six, steady demand in growing areas. So high growth areas mean more houses and more plumbing work. And most cities are growing, especially here in Texas. I don't know why you people from California keep coming out here every single day, but we're going to run out of room. And let me give y'all a tip. Oklahoma's cheaper. Number seven, less client interaction. Now you still have customers, but if you prefer working with tools over working with people, new construction minimizes the customer service. But you've still got a general contractor. You've still got the owner. You've still got people that may be on the job. And one thing you've got that you don't have in service, you've got the other trades that you have to deal with. Now, you could in service if you're doing residential remodels or something like that, but new construction does minimize the customer service. So if you're one of those prick plumbers, you just don't like talking to people, new construction may be your thing. But if you're loving like me, residential service may be amazing. Number eight, team-based work. You're often working with other trades and crews, which can be great for camaraderie and learning. It's always nice to be working with other people you can learn things from. And believe it or not, I love working around other trades. Except for electricians, I don't know what it is, but they've got a bone in their hand that don't let them hold a broom. That's why they never clean up after themselves. Just thought I'd throw that in there as a tip. Number nine, potential for contracts with builders. If you can get in with a builder, you might land a pipeline of consistent jobs. If you come in and do the job right, just like a homeowner, if you go in and do service work, if you do it right, they're going to call you back. But finding an opportunity for someone to keep calling you back every time they've got a new job, it's a great way to grow a business. And then number 10, opportunity to scale easier to grow a crew doing similar installs across multiple houses. Now, building new construction, and I know we're talking about residential, but even working with the right GCs, they can get you into all the different jobs that they're doing. So now let's jump into the 10 cons of new residential plumbing. Number one, it's normally lower pay, at least in the beginning. Builders often pay less than service calls, especially when you're starting out, meaning you're going to make less per hour. But if you can take on a bunch of these homes, you can use it, and then you're working on scale, not just making more money each time your guys go out. But you've still got to know your KPIs and how to track these. Number two, long payment terms. Net 30, net 60. I've seen net 90 and 120. Builders can be very slow to pay, especially if they're not getting paid. So that makes it kind of tough. Number three, tight margins. Competitive bidding can drive prices down, especially if you're subcontracting the work, because every other subcontractor wants to do the exact same thing that you're doing. Number four, and this is something you have no control of, the weather delays. Outdoor rough ends and slab work can get delayed by rain, freezing temperatures, even the top outs if it's not closed in. And if you don't have anything going on indoors, you may end up sending people home, or it may be you going home. But understand that. Number 5, little variety. You are doing the same thing, the same installs over and over and over and over again. And guys, it can get repetitive and it can get really boring, especially if you're doing the same thing. So you've got different crews. You've got a rough-end crew. If you're just digging in the ground each and every day, that can get pretty boring. If you're topping out every day, same thing. So think about these things and decide, is this something you really want to do? And then number 6, there's no instant gratification. You won't always see the finished product right away. Work gets buried or it gets finished up later. And here's the thing, you might not even be the one finishing it. I did this for so long doing rough ends and top outs, I never got to see the fixtures get set. I never got to see the final product. And if you're somebody that you like to see your work because you're proud of it, that can make it rough. Number 7, high material costs up front. You may need to front your materials, especially if you're working for yourself, meaning you're going to pay for them. You're going to invest them. So now it's not just your time you're waiting that 30, 60, 90 days to get paid for. You're buying the fixtures. You're buying the materials. You're financing that job. That's something I never wanted to do. Number 8, scheduling conflicts. If you've got delays in the framing, the electrical, the inspections, anything at all, it can put your work behind. And if you've got other work planned, guess what? You're going to need more people, or it's going to put you behind on your start dates too. Number 9, code changes and inspections. If you fail an inspection and you're redoing work, you're doing it for free. You need to stay up to date on codes. You need to communicate with your inspectors and work really close with them. Luckily, red tags are something that I never had to worry about. I made sure I always talked to the inspectors up front and said, hey, what is your big deal? What is it when you walk on a job you look for every time? I was doing everything else right, but I wanted to make sure that his pet peeve was always taken care of. And then number 10, minimal customer tips or upsells. Now, I have made some really good tips from customers. Also, upsells, there's a great opportunity to do that in service, but you're not going to do that in residential construction. If it's your company and you're upselling to the general contractor, that may be, but nothing special, no upgrades, no big sales, or no grateful homeowners. And if you're like me and you love doing the residential service, dealing with homeowners and seeing how grateful, how thankful they are is amazing. If you want to do good in this, get out and learn how to look at it. How do you teach the people working with you how to take a lead role, how to step up and do things right? Learning how it goes in and how it goes in the right way. If you're roughing it in, you understand why putting everything in the wall is important. You don't want to be chipping concrete. When you're a top out person, you want to understand that same thing. You really see why it's important that things are in the wall, that the toilet stub-ups are right where they go, that the water lines are right where they go. You can do this. Getting in residential new construction lets you see it. And then when you come back and set fixtures, you understand how important that person doing the top out is. So I loved new construction. It's a great way to learn. And then when I went on to service, man, I really saw a lot of problems, and it made me appreciate the people doing the right top outs, the right rough ends, and even setting fixtures the right way. It made me understand how valuable they are and how much I really love the work that they did. Now, if new residential isn't for you, you might want to try this instead. Yeah, that's the pros and cons of residential service.